This is the invocation of the Vedanta Sutra. Janma dyasya yataha. This janma, this birth in what? Human bodies. This is the time, this is the birth, this is the body for what? What's it for? What's the purpose of human life? What's the difference between human life and animal life? I went on Google. What's the difference between human life and animal life? And it was very interesting. Some of you are from India, and you may have heard of a popular website called Byju's. You've heard of Byju's. Have you heard of Byju's? No, you must not have been in India for a while. Byju's is a website dedicated to helping students in the secondary level to study and pass their exams. And obviously there must be a question in the biology course of secondary education, where there's a question: what is the difference between an animal and a human? And of course the first response is that, well, humans are animals. Humans are just one amongst various species of animals. So humans are animals is the first response, that if you want to pass the test and get a good score on your exam and get into the good IITs and whatever, then you pay money to Byju's to help you out. And then it goes on to describe, well, you know, humans, they walk on two legs. Okay, so they're bipedal. That's another big distinction between humans and other primates, because humans are in the category of primates in the definition of biology and zoology. Am I going to pass my secondary exam, you think? I'm getting it right? I don't know how long it's been since any of you must have taken these examinations. Right, didn't you? Yeah, and there was questions like this: what's the difference between an animal and a human? You had to study. I mean, the Indian system of education is very much what we call in the West rote education, right? You have to know. We have an interesting experience where we came to India back from America after spending some time. And we spent our first year back in India, this was 1991, in Mumbai. And so we had at this time four children, but we had 4 children and 3 daughters. We left with 2, and we came back with 4. Anyway, so we enrolled our son in there was a Gurukul, so he was able to go to the Gurukul, but for not Gurukul, but the mission school of the temple. And our daughters we enrolled in Sumati Morarji school, which was right nearby. And so there was an exam, and as we remember it, our daughter, oldest daughter, she knew no Marathi. She had a class in Marathi, right? That was one of the required subjects. So she didn't know any Marathi. But we got a tutor, and the tutor said, well, these are the questions that'll be, could be on the exam, and these are the answers. This is the right answer, these are the wrong answers, okay. So she learned the questions, and she learned the answers, and she passed very well on the Marathi exam. But she failed her English exam. Because when she was asked, what was it? What is an eggplant or something like that? What is a brinjal? She said, well, it's a vegetable. Or something. She said something that's accurate and English and proper. But it wasn't exactly what the exam answer is supposed to be. And therefore she failed. So this is, the Baiju system. They teach you what is the answers that are going to pass you. So the difference, okay, they're animals, humans are animals, but they have walking on two legs. And if we go more deeply, so I went after, I said Baiju's here, not so, let me go further. What really distinguishes in the common lore and the common man's idea about what's distinguished, what do scientists really say about it? And there are a few things. The one that is most prominent is language. Our ability to use language. But there's also some interesting common things that people talk about when they discuss the difference between animals and human animals. And the ability of human animals to destroy is really quite significant. Human animals, first of all, they take more than what they need. They hoard. There are some animals that will store away. Of course, the bees do so. But they do so because they require it. They need it. Human animals will collect just for the sake of having it. And human animals will destroy just for the sake of destruction, to get on top. So if we analyze, we can see so many differences between the human beings and the animals that are not very complementary. But the one distinguishing factor which leads and makes it possible to truly come to human life is the ability to ask the question, who am I? Atato Brahma Jigyasa. That's what I was meant to say, not Janma Dhyasya. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Atato. This is the time. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. To inquire into the absolute truth. Then Janma Dhyasya Yataha. What is that absolute truth? So this is actually what distinguishes a true human being from a human animal. It's interesting the way that this verse uses this comparison. It's like Prabhupada uses, he speaks of a personality. Let me get back to it. A man who is almost an animal in behavior. And then at the end, otherwise one must be compared to the non-humans. So if we don't use our human life to inquire into the absolute truth, to inquire who we are, then yes, we are no better than the animals. There's another famous verse in Srimad Bhagavatam that describes this. Let's see if I can get to it. Where is it now? I had it ready. Now I can't find it. Maybe some of you know it. It's Svavid Varaha. You know it, Arjuna. You know the verse? Svavid Varaha Karai. Anyway, it's basically hogs, dogs, camels, and asses, right? Hogs, dogs, specifically. There's specific animals that are mentioned in this verse. Someone, maybe you can find it anyway, but it's, I had it looked up. I don't have it memorized. Yes.
Who are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses. Praise those men who never listen to the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, Sri Krishna, the deliverer of demons.
So the same theme is here, right? That those who are like, can be compared to hogs and dogs and camels and asses, the same word is also used, karna, in that verse and this verse. This is the Sanskrit here is apiha karnabi, something like that. Apiha, drinking through the ears. And those who don't use their ears to hear the pastimes of Krishna, to hear about the truth, they're just like animals. And not the best animals. They're not, there are some, neat animals like the dolphins who have big brains. But they're like dogs and hogs and asses and camels, specific animals. Why? Because each one of these exhibits a specific quality that is indicative of the waste of time for a human being who does not inquire, doesn't ask the questions. Who am I? What is the goal of life? This is what is being spoken of here. Purushartha, what is the goal? Why do I have this body? What am I supposed to do with it? What is the goal? What is the purpose of life? Without having any idea of what is purpose. There's a famous Christian preacher who's written a book, The Purpose-Driven Life. The purpose-driven life. A life without purpose is a miserable life. There may be some pleasures, like the dogs and the hogs and the asses and the camels. The dogs, they take their pleasure in gross activity, gross sensual activity. But on the other hand, they receive what? Of course, in America, dogs are kind of well taken care of. In India, dogs are not so well taken care of. When you visit Mayapur, you'll see some dogs. Ooh. They're with mange, and they're just skin and bones. And then there's some healthy dogs. The healthy dogs have driven away all the other dogs. In Mayapur, sometimes we've had, attempt. We thought, well, what are we going to do about all these dogs? And so sometimes we think, well, let's take them and we'll take them across the river and let them be over there. And what happens is, as soon as you take the stronger, healthier dogs that have settled in Mayapur, you take them somewhere, then all the other, the sickly, they come in, and then they establish themselves. So we figured out it's actually better to keep these guys, at least they're a little healthy and behaved. Mostly behaved. And the hogs just eat anything. But how do you live? In the mud, in the gutter. And the camels are just, Prabhupada writes about these different species in the purport to this verse, and talks about especially the camel, how the camel will chew on and eat leaves and twigs from thorny trees, and actually enjoy it, because the thorns, they kind of, they scratch the inside of their mouths, and some blood comes out, and the blood mixes with the leaves, and they become, oh, this is very tasty. And Prabhupada compares these to the human-like, the humans who try to enjoy this world, and although it's mixed with so much thorny results, they feel some pleasure. And the asses. I was curious about, why are asses getting such a bad rap? Right? Because it's not just in the Vedas that we find, Muda, asses. There's a popular, I don't know if it's still going on, there was a popular YouTuber who used to, jackass was, and they would just do really stupid things. Really, really stupid things. And, everyone would laugh at it, because he's so stupid to do this. So ass is generally, equated with stupidity. Yeah. And why is this? Because asses are, when I looked this up, there was a few people arguing, this is wrong. Asses are actually very intelligent. They're very intelligent. They won't do what they don't want to do. It's actually the stubbornness of the ass that has given it the reputation as being stupid. Because, hey, I'm telling you to do this, and you're not doing it. Prabhupada gives another example, that the ass is considered to be stupid because they submit themselves to working for humans, who are like asses sometimes, for just the grass that they could eat on the side of the road. Kind of stupid. So the same principle, that if we don't use our human life for the purpose of self-realization, then we can be compared to animals. And if we resist, if we say, no, I do not want to hear about Krishna and all that Krishna stuff. I want to get on with what? Enjoying this world. I have no interest in anything spiritual. I have no interest in anything to do with God. What does God have to do with me? What does God have to do with anything? It's all me. It's all me. It's all what I can do. And I have just this life, and I'm going to use it, and I'm going to enjoy as much as I can. And then it's finished. Okay, whatever. But don't talk to me about God. What's the difference between such a person and an animal? There is no difference. So we're so fortunate to have been pulled out of that, to have followed the other path, to have chosen to ask the questions. All of us are here hearing about Krishna because we asked questions. We asked the question, who am I? We asked the question, what is the purpose of life? We asked the question, what more is there? There must be something more than this that we see. We asked that question, and Krishna, in our hearts, has led us here. Led us to the devotees who are now sharing with us the good news, the word, the narrations of Krishna, the Srimad Bhagavatam. Today is the disappearance day of one such devotee, Lokanath Goswami. So we'll spend a few minutes to talk about him, and then we can have questions and answers. Lokanath Goswami, now I'm speaking from, not from my memory, but from my study. So if I get something wrong, then I hope you can correct me. But as I've read, Lokanath Goswami was that I couldn't find a year of his birth, and it's also interesting that very often you'll find that we celebrate the disappearance days of various acharyas, but we don't have an appearance day. The disappearance days we know because these devotees have become quite significant, and their departures are noted. But they're often born without such in circumstances which we don't know. So such as with Lokanath Goswami. We know that he was born in an area of Jessore, which is now Bangladesh. We know that. And we know that he was one of the only devotees who is celebrated as one of the Goswamis of Vrindavan, who actually met Mahaprabhu in Navadvip before sannyas. He came there. He was not at all interested in material life from his childhood. And so he heard of Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement in Navadvip and ventured there. And he met Sri Krishna Chaitanya, who was not yet Sri Krishna Chaitanya, but as Nimai. He met Nimai Pandit, Gaura Hari. He met him and was immediately drawn in to Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan. But somehow it's narrated that he had some inkling. He understood that Mahaprabhu is going to take sannyas. He's going to leave. And he became quite disturbed in his mind. Mahaprabhu sensed this and ordered him before his sannyas lila to leave, to go to Vraj, to go to Vrindavan, where he would see Sri Krishna Chaitanya later. Lokanath Goswami had a very, very dear friend, Bhugarba, who also was present, it seems. I mean, different narrations, haven't really been able to piece it together. But Bhugarba apparently also went with Lokanath. So Lokanath arrives in Vrindavan, and he's absorbed in the chanting of the holy names. It's understood that Lokanath Goswami received initiation from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But in any case, he is there in Vrindavan, and he hears that, yes, Mahaprabhu has taken sannyas. He's gone to Puri. Then he hears, and he's feeling so much eagerness to see Mahaprabhu, and he hears that he's left Puri. He's gone on a tour of South India, and he's some, I don't know exactly where he was had some word, and so he runs. I'm sure he was walking and running or whatever, but he proceeds with great enthusiasm to catch up, to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But when he arrives in South India, what does he hear? Mahaprabhu's gone to Vrindavan, where he left. Oh, Krishna. So he begins again, get back to Vrindavan. And when he reaches Vrindavan, what does he hear? Mahaprabhu has left. He's on his way. He's gone to Prayag. So he starts to pack his, get ready again to go. And a dream comes, and Mahaprabhu comes. No, stop this running around. Just stay here. Don't worry. I'll be with you. Lokanath Goswami, we don't know much about him. For one reason is that he was so humble. He commanded Krishnadas Kaviraj not to write about him. So don't say anything about me. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita we find is just one place his name is mentioned, but nothing else. So we don't know that much. What we do know is that he is the guru. He initiated Narottam. He's Narottam, he's the only disciple of Lokanath Goswami, is Narad. And it was not a easy thing for Narottam. Narottam had he understood, Lokanath Goswami is my Gurudev. And he was determined that he would receive mantras from Lokanath Goswami. And Lokanath said, I can't initiate anyone. Narottam became so determined. He said, I will get his mercy. I will get Lokanath Goswami's mercy. So he did this service. At night, he went to where Lokanath Goswami was residing to clean the toilets, or the toilet, that Lokanath used. After some time, Lokanath became a little curious. I'm not doing this. And that I come in the morning and it's all clean. What's going on? So he stays up chanting and hides in a bush nearby and sees Narottam come to do this service. And in this way, Lokanath's heart becomes so overwhelmed with appreciation that he's, for his sake, I will do this. And he imparts mantras to him. And as we know, Narottam goes forward. And it was actually by the instruction of Lokanath Goswami that he left Vrindavan to preach. And we all owe such a great debt to Narottam Das Thakur. By his preaching, by his following the order of Lokanath Goswami, practically speaking, we have now our Sankirtan movement as it is, because it was he who brought the literatures of the Goswamis. It was he who established the Keturi first Gaur Purnima festival. It was he who wrote all these wonderful songs. It was he who established, practically speaking, our Sankirtan system. He especially, we owe so much to Narottam. And thus we owe so much to Lokanath Goswami for his mercy on Narottam. Lokanath is also known for his deity, Radha Vinod, whose appearance is extraordinary. I mean, this is the life of the Goswamis in Vrindavan in the 16th century. It is unimaginable to us living here in New York City in the neophyte stage that at least I must speak for myself. You know, just somehow or other chanting the holy names of Krishna and trying to just listen and hear the names of Krishna. But here the Goswamis, they're sitting in Vraj, and not only are they chanting and they're hearing, they're seeing Krishna. They're seeing Krishna. Sometimes without knowing they're seeing Krishna. Krishna comes and in the guise of, because he is a village boy, and he doesn't actually hide in that sense. He said, "Yeah, I live here. I'm one of the village boys here, and my mother has sent me because my mother's." He's not telling any lies. It's the truth. I'm a Gopa. Here, my name is Gopal, which could be a very common name in those days. And the Goswamis, they look and they're taken back. But you know, he just kind of walked in from the village. And in the case of Lokanath, it was a little more clear because Krishna just appears. Lokanath is we don't have the full description, but somehow I can just imagine. And by the way, imagination is one of the primary distinctions between humans and animals, our ability to imagine. That quality of imagination, and we can use that. It's not that all imagination is prohibited, you know, that's just imagination, you know. We're restrained from using imagination. Yes, we should imagine. We should imagine. In fact, Prabhupada invites us to imagine. It's a wonderful letter he wrote. He says that you should imagine a throne in your heart. You should imagine a jeweled throne. You should imagine Krishna sitting on that throne. With your imagination, you should offer Krishna something to eat. So we can use our imaginations to serve Krishna. And of course, we should use our imaginations to come up with all kinds of novel ways to spread Krishna consciousness. Lokanath Goswami. As I imagine, was sitting somewhere. And Krishna just appears and hands him this deity. Here I am. Worship me. Deity, I was going to put some pictures up, but it's a little too late. You can look up Radha Vinod. Currently he resides in Jaipur, like many other of the Vrindavan deities went there when Aurangzeb began his campaign of destruction. So he's small, he's about like this size. And as soon as Krishna gives him Radha Vinod, he disappears. And so this is obvious. This is not, a boy walking in from the village or a beautiful lady or girl walking in and then later on, because this often happens, and Raghunath and Sanatan and so on, they all have these experiences, and later on they say, well, wait a minute, that was Krishna, or that was Srimati Radharani. But this is, Krishna has given me this deity. Oh. And then what happens? The deity talks to him. And so, okay, now I'm here. I'm hungry. Feed me. You can read about this. So he becomes Lokanath's deity. Now what is he going to do? He's small, so he takes him and he puts him in a sack and a bag and he carries him around wherever he goes. Something happens, and I can't remember exactly how, but he ends up in a temple, the Radha Gokulananda temple. But he's not there now. I mean, he's there, but in his Pratibhu Murti. In other words, he left, he went to Jaipur, and he is present in that temple in his Pratibhu form. Lokanath lived for a long time. His disappearance was somewhere around 1580, something like this. He was in his 80s, 90s. And he departed this world. So let us remember his purity, remember his love for Krishna, that Krishna himself came and said, here I am. And let us especially remember his mercy that flows to us through Narottam Das Thakur. Jai Lokanath Goswami. I think we have 1 minute. I do want to just repeat Narottam's pranam mantra to Lokanath, if I can get to it here. Nope. Oh boy. Let's see if I can get to it. Okay, so Narottam Das Thakur wrote this for Lokanath Goswami. I'll repeat it and you can repeat after me. Srimad Radha Vinodaika Seva Sampat Samanvitam Padmanabhatmajam Srimad Lokanatha Prabhum Bhaje. I worship the lotus feet of Srila Lokanath Prabhu, the son of Sri Padmanabha. He is a storehouse of single-minded service to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha Vinod. Jai Lokanath Goswami ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you. And we're now at 9 o'clock, but if there's anyone with a question or a additional comment, then maybe we could spend a few minutes. Otherwise, we're all. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada.